Good morning. It's pizza day, eh? Welcome to Winnipeg. Okay, I was watching our sunrise here a little while ago. About half an hour ago, the clouds were actually quite broken, and I could even see a little bit of color coming up. But since then, it looks like we're going to have a fifth day of no sunrise. Now, we do have an extensive rollback, so I'm going to try and do a little bit less of flapping my gums here. We'll get right into the rollback and see how it is we got to this place. My plan for today is to try and get a bunch of little parts here. I think there's about 53 of them that we have to get. I'm going to do one on camera, and you're just going to have to pretend you saw the other 52 being done. But that'll be after the rollback. So why don't we just get right into our rollback and see how it is we got to where we are today. Okay, continuing right along here this afternoon. I was just noticing that this card is slightly curved, and in a way that's maybe a good thing. See if I can hold it so that you can see it. Okay, in other words, it curves like this. Of course, I'm exaggerating. So what I'm going to want to do is when I come along with my card, I'm going to want to have it so that the putty kind of comes out like this, not in. Okay, it'll be a lot easier to sand it down. And so what I'm going to do is when I trawl it on, I'll have it so that the curve is like this. In other words, the blue side, and hopefully it will, put it on the way I want it. Also, I think that it probably would be best if I was to lay this on its side again. We don't need to worry too much about the bottom because, as I mentioned in yesterday's episode, we're not going to be seeing the bottom anyway. In fact, my plan is that the Iowa will be sitting on the bottom of the case. At least that's the plan right now. It will be interesting to see if if there's going to be enough room height-wise for each one of those ships, or am I going to have to nip a little bit of each mast off? No, of course I wouldn't do that, but anyway. Okay, let's just sort of recompose here, get our putty mixed up, and let this dry overnight. Well, it is only 3:28 in the afternoon here. I might even be able to do some sanding later on this evening, because it does seem to dry very quickly, although we are going to be, slightly diluting it down here. Okay, I can't find Mr. T's pointing device, so I'm going to use one of Gabe's swabs here. And you see, I might as well use the pointy end of it. So you see this recess in the deck here. Well, I was watching Paul working on his Iowa. He's got the same kit as we do here, and he has one of the a Pontos type add-on kit, which has a piece of photo etch that goes completely over all of this. And from what I noticed was that, or what he was mentioning was that this part here, which is recessed to take one of these bollards, it doesn't match up with the Pontos kit. In other words, the slot on the Pontos kit comes about, it looks like about 3 or 4 millimeters further forward than the actual slot. Now the slot looks like it's the same width and everything. It's just that the whole thing is moved forward. And what Paul was trying to do was he was going to try and move this slot and gouge it out on the piece of plastic here so it would match. And I was wondering about is this stuff that's coming from the UK that's supposed to fix the problem we have with the pulpit on this Iowa kit. Is it going to also have this thing I'm supposed to, glue down on here? I don't know if I will or not. And once again, if this is going to get too complicated for me, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do it. But this is what I would do if I was going to use that plate that has to go on here, and it completely covers this whole area here. I think it leaves this open, but I'm not sure. I can't remember now. I'd have to watch Paul's video again. No, what I would do is I would fill this existing hole that's in the wrong place. Well, actually, maybe it is in the right place, and maybe the Pontos kit is wrong. But what I would do is I would fill it, and I would level it off. I would then glue down the photo etch piece, which has the slot moved up a few millimeters. I would take my little bollard, and instead of trying to gouge this out, I think it would be a lot easier to sand this down. Now, of course, you'd have to be careful not to sand it down too much. It's going to be when you put this piece in here, it's going to be raised up a little bit anyway. So if a person was to sand this down about halfway, and then it would fit right in the right. To me, that's going to be a lot easier. And if I decide I am going to try and put this piece down, if the stuff that's coming in the mail actually has it, it might not. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try and gouge this out. That's just my thinking on it. Now, on the other hand, maybe a person could. You could take something like the photo etch cutter, that chisel thing that I made up. It might kind of go in, but I think it'd be kind of messy myself. Anyway, just a thought. Now, maybe this idea of thinning it down is not a good idea, but I'm going to try it anyway. If it doesn't work out, there's lots of putty in here, and I can do it again. Just put a drop of water. It doesn't want to come. Don't want it to all of a sudden squirt in there. Okay, 2 drops. Maybe I should use my electric. Now it's 43% humidity in here, so, and it's kind of, you might say, a little bit dry. So this is going to start drying fairly quickly. All right, let's just sort of trawl it on. Guess I better stand up and look over here, see what I'm doing. All right, as I mentioned before, my experience is that the more you try to improve on something like that, the more you're going to mess it up. So I'm just going to leave it. Probably have to mix up more now to do the other side. I don't think I've got enough on the card. I don't know if I improved this side or not. Now, this is the side that's going against the wall, so I'm not too worried about that. You know what? I'm going to do this. Whoops. I don't know, maybe that's about as good as I'm going to be able to get it here. I know it looks a little bit rough right there, but that's going to sand away. You know, if it's a little bit high, that's okay. You can sand it off. It's when it gets concave that you have a problem. Okay, I think that this will be a little better. At least that's my hopes. Okay, now as for our propellers here, I think they're about as good as we're going to be able to get them. And they're in the proper orientation. This one here is number 1, and this one is number 2, and this one's number 3, and it has to turn this way to push, and this one is number 4. Okay, so they will turn like this to push. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, they're a lot better than they were before I put the second coat on. And you're looking at them much closer than anybody will when the ship is in the case. So, yeah, naturally you're going to be picking up on little flaws, like maybe there's a bubble or a piece of flashing or, you know, that sort of thing. Okay, I'm happy. Okay, our F1 and our F27. I don't know, a moment ago I thought maybe I could stick those on, but you know, I'm probably going to be putting a lot of, you know, elbow grease into this thing, and I don't want to accidentally knock it off the side of the hull here, which could happen. I do think though we're probably safe to put our putty away until at least for a few days. We'll see what happens when that photo etch stuff comes from the UK. We might be needing it again, and the same thing with the with the rudders and all of this stuff. It's going to have to wait. So this is done. I think we'd probably be safe though to start making small parts here. I think we should just skip ahead now to step 5 and try and find some of these little pieces. A lot of this is going to be very, very similar to the British ships and also the German ship that we made. You know, there's only so many different ways you can make an anchor, right? Yeah, and these guns, they look very similar to the ones we made for the Hood. Very similar. So, yeah. It says make 53. Make 53. Does that say 50? First I saw, and then here, make 22. We are going to be busy. We only need 2 anchors, but we need 53 of these? Holy moly. Okay, well, it won't do it by itself. Guess I better start nipping. Okay, we may as well start at the beginning of step 5 here with the anchor. And there's only 2 of them, so that's easy. I think I can survive 2 pieces. And we're not going to want to be cutting off anything that we're going to need here, so I'll trim this up later. Okay, now, okay, get these out of there. Now this anchor reminds me a lot of the anchor we did on the Bismarck. I can't remember if this sort of thing happened on the Hood or not, but you notice we've got a real clevis here. So I should get myself a tuna fish tin because I don't want to be losing these little parts. Now with the Rodney, this clevis was molded into place. It was almost easier, but it wasn't as realistic. This one actually is going to be a proper clevis, which is going to go onto this piece right here. And once again, we will trim those up later. Okay. Now there are two sprues exactly the same, so we got to get the same pieces off the other sprue. I'll just do that off camera. Now here's something that's kind of interesting to note. You notice that there's a 6 on there, or is it a 9? Well, it's probably a 6, because on this one there is a 5. Interesting. I don't know what that's all about, because there was only 2 anchors. Yeah, I would like to try and put this clevis on the end of the shank here on camera, but I think I'd probably end up frustrating myself to death, so I'm just going to go ahead and try and get it on. Now, it doesn't go on until after the I don't think the clevis will fit through that hole, and it goes in like this. And it might be, I might be better off painting all these pieces when they're separate. And yet on the other hand, I know there is anchor chain coming from China. It's here in Canada now. I don't know where in Canada. It could be here any day. It might even be in my delivery box right now. I should go and check, but I doubt it. I think I would have heard the lid slam. However, yeah, that's interesting. Number 6 and number 5. Now, I can't do anything about my anchors until I know what kind of paint I'm going to be using. My intention at this point is to have 3 different shades of gray that are appropriate for the Iowa. And we won't be using the 56 anywhere on the Iowa, I don't think. Now, we need N12, and we need 53 of them. Now, this is the N sprue, and there are there are 6 of these guns on each one of the sprues, and there are 10 N sprues. So that means that there's a total of 60 altogether. Well, we need 53. So I think I'll nip them all in case, some of them are better than others. But I'm just going to take one off here right now. And let me get this out of the way here. Now, I think that, well, first of all, I'm starting to get a little bit tired. So I'm thinking maybe now's a good time to take a bit of a break, because if I push myself, in this build, it's going to take the fun out of it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my Kindle, Drambinski's book, and see if we can find this gun. What does it actually look like according to Drambinski? Maybe we'll actually find real photos of it. What is the caliber? I'm going to guess it's about 50 caliber, and it looks to be like an anti-aircraft gun. You can see where the guy's shoulder would fit right in there. Yeah, let's go check out the book just for the fun of it. Okay, so I was not able to find any good photos, but I was able to find some good drawings here in Stefan's book. And they were not 50 caliber guns, they were 20 millimeter. And yeah, that'd be pushing 80 caliber. So they were a lot bigger than I thought they were. Yeah, interesting. Now, let's move on. Well, I'm guessing about 3 or so hours has passed here since we did anything of any consequence. Maybe not quite that long. But I've spent the last little bit of time here editing out what you've just seen that we call the rollback. And it took a lot longer than I thought, because I had a lot more footage than I thought, as you have just seen. Now, we've got our sunrise camera aimed over here, and it looks a lot different from usual because it's all dark, but it's really dark outside at the moment. Um, and yeah, I don't have a whole lot more else to say here. I think we may as well cut it quits for today, and all being well, we'll see you in the morning. Well, it is morning. And as I mentioned at the beginning of today's episode, I'm going to try and do one gun completely on camera. We'll get the photo etch piece and everything. Now, as far as I know, there is only two pieces for this gun. There's this part right here, and then there's the little piece of photo etch that acts as a shield, which we will get. Now, I'm going to try and use the macro lens as much as possible. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to let you in on a trade secret, which probably everybody knows anyway. I will go like this, and then I will pause. I'm not actually going to nip. I am now going to put on my macro lens and continue on. Okay, action. Now, you might notice that I've taken care to even try and get my fingers back in the same place as they were before. Oh, we don't want to be cutting the peg off that has to go down into the hole where this thing is going to mount, so we don't want to be cutting up here. Yeah, I know I mention that a lot. It's not like you're a bunch of little babies or something and you don't know how to do this, right? Okay. Now, some of these pieces of flashing are going to be fairly easy to trim off. Like that one. But then we've got this one here. Okay, now you notice that this little part here that's coming up at an angle. I'm just barely touching it there on the end of it. I got to be careful I don't accidentally, cut that off. So I'm wondering if maybe if I was to turn this over, I'm probably getting it out of your field of view here. Oh, there's the same thing on the other side. Yeah, I want to get rid of this part right here. So maybe I'll just turn it over again, being as it's the same on both sides. Okay, and just check my monitor. Am I still in the field of view there? Let's move it down this way just a little bit here. Okay, that should be pretty much centered. So I'll come in at a bit of an angle here like this, so that I'm at the same angle as this part right here that I don't want to cut off. And I can probably maybe file the rest. Okay, you can see there's something right here I've got to get rid of. I shouldn't really be doing this on camera. I'm probably going to end up wrecking this thing. Not that anybody's going to notice anyway. I'm going to do this off camera, and then we'll take a close look at it. Now I am seeing a little bit of flashing on the base, and there's a tiny bit still on the barrel. I guess I could get rid of that flashing that's on the base, but as far as anything on the barrel or anything else that's very spindly, like for instance these with the shoulder or whatever you call it, where the Can't think of the name of it right now. Anyway, yeah, I'm afraid if I try to clean that up a bit, I'm going to end up breaking it off. So there's only so much that I'm going to be willing to do on these things. Okay, let's get the piece of photo etch now that has to go on this. Okay, so we need photo etch 9E. I don't remember in the other three manuals where the letter, like the E, would be in brackets like that. I thought it just said PE-E9, but maybe it did. Maybe I've forgotten. Not that it's important, I just know, wondering why it's different. Anyway, yeah, I think we can get one of those. Okay, now this shield, does it stop right there, or is it supposed to go all the way back as far as it will go? I'm not sure. I would think that it would probably go back as far as it will go, like that. Not that anybody's going to notice. There's a difference of about 1 millimeter from right back here to out here where the barrel sort of stops and the breech part of it begins. Let's check and see what the drawings look like that Stefan did. Okay, here we are on page 431, and we've got sort of a side view drawing going on here. And this is probably going to show us better than anything as to where this shield goes in relation to the barrel. And it looks like it goes at probably about a 25-degree angle. It's not straight up and down like this. And it looks like it is just back of where the barrel itself starts becoming part of the breech mechanism. Well, the breech is actually probably back here. But anyway, let's just page down a little bit here. See what the drawings look like. Now our shield doesn't, it's not as detailed as this, of course. It's just one big flat piece of metal. Or maybe I should say one little tiny piece of metal. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we put it just back of the. Where till I get back to that drawing again here? Well, let me take this one. Yeah. If we have it just back of where the barrel changes and becomes thicker. Okay, let's get back to the model table. Oh, a minute ago when I was looking this up, a delivery came to the door. Now, everybody loves a package opening. And there's probably only one thing better than a package opening. Okay, you knew that was coming, didn't you? All right. Let's indulge. I think that'll be okay. And there's enough of them that I don't mind, wrecking one to try and modify something, so it would have sort of a specialty tip on it. At least that's the plan. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, that was kind of fun. And it was kind of tasty too. Okay, now when I was looking at this in the monitor, I was able to see something that I can't really see too good here. Well, I can now that I'm looking for it. But you'll notice that right here, where I'm touching with the tweezer, there's a difference where the barrel stops, and I think it's probably maybe some sort of recoil mechanism was in here or something. Okay, that is the part that is supposed to be sticking out, not this part right here. So I think what we have to do is try and get our piece to stop. Now, this is going to be really hard to hold this. Maybe I should be using another tweezer that is a little bit flatter. This one here is just a little bit too. There's not very much surface area. Let me see if I can find a different tweezer here. No, I had actually wanted the other ones that are not quite this big, but maybe these will work. Now, if I can just hold that like that, I'm trying to sample a little bit of. I need 3 eyes here. No, will it stay there if I let go of it? No, it's not going to. I don't want to glue it to the tweezer either. I think it is. Okay, I'm going to have to come up with a different plan here, folks. I'm probably going to have to rig up some kind of a jig, because what's happened here is it was sticking to the tweezer. And I don't know if it's gluing to the tweezer or if it was a case of there was something on the tweezer that was sticky. But I'm gonna call today's episode quits here. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And all being well, we'll be seeing you tomorrow.